When All in a Day last checked in with Chris Booth, he was gathering up spare change to make a movie. Now, when I say spare change, I am not just making a figure of speech. Chris was taking donations as small as a few cents to as big as a donor could afford. And he called this project the Pocket Change Film. And enough people emptied their pockets that Chris was able to raise more than $40,000. The film is called At Home by Myself, ... with you. And since we last spoke to Chris, it has gone through post-production, debuted at the Vancouver Film Festival. It's now about to screen in Ottawa for the first time. After all, Chris is an Ottawa-born filmmaker. He now lives in Toronto. We don't hold it against him. He joins me in the studio. Hello there. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
When you started collecting people's pocket change, did you expect it to get this far?
No, not at all. It was... when you set out to do something like this, you have the smaller goal of trying to raise maybe $10,000 at the most to try to make your one room video apartment movie kind of opus, but what was really part of the journey was that. People were so receptive to helping us out and really pushed our dream forward that you really got a sense of a lot of people out there wanted us to make as best a movie as we can. And
were you able to ever get a sense, and I'm not sure whether people were sending in letters or notes with these donations, as to why they were donating? No, I mean, yes and no. I mean, we started off with the Facebook campaign.
Mm-hmm. I'm making a feature film on pocket change, and so a lot of people could, respond and go, "Way to go," and all that sort of jazz, and don't let anybody stop you. And so, no, I mean, we did get a few letters with some checks from people all over the place, and some of them are really inspirational. I remember this one specific letter was saying that now that our team was a big inspiration for them, that they could see outside the box now, that nothing would stop them from making their own movie, and that was really. Quite encouraging to kind of move forward and make the best movie we could.
I wondered, as those donors kept coming in, what kind of responsibility you ended up feeling towards them?
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a big corporation or an agency funding the film, where often a filmmaker feels indebted towards, for good or bad reasons, feels indebted towards that corporation or agency. Here, it's a whole lot of people giving what they can.
Yeah, and I touched on that a little. I've said this a couple of times. It's I actually kind of had like a panic attack after the second week of collecting pocket change, because after the second week, possibly the third week, we raised about $1,000 in pocket change, and I remember talking with my wife and saying how scared I was that people were it was actually happening. People were believing in it and dropping pennies and nickels and dimes and toonies and loonies into the jars on my desk at work, and I started to feel panic. What happens if I can't make this thing? But over the year of collecting, I really did figure out that what people were doing they were patting us on our back and really kind of encouraging us to kind of take the the path less taken, the road less traveled, and to run with it and do what you can. And you start to realize that you're making a movie or you're trying to tell a story that you want these people to enjoy, and you start to have that responsibility put on you, but not in a bad way, in a good way. And it starts to inspire you. You're no longer making a project for yourself, but with the best intentions. You're making a project for the hundreds of people who have given you the toonies, loonies, and sometimes $100 at a time.
Which is a really interesting thing, because, in some ways, when you think about film, any filmmaker that's lucky enough to get a grant, a government grant in order to make a film, in a way, the money that's coming in there is also coming from the nation, right? It is coming from money that's contributed, and yet I'm not sure that connection is always made between where all that money was originally
Well, it's definitely not made. I mean, there's a committee of people, of artists, particularly in the arts councils, that choose, given their particular mandates that they have to follow. And what is special about kind of the social media and people giving their toonies and loonies straight from their pocket, literally into my hand, is it has that connection, that eye contact, that I know who this is going to, and I know what their eventual goal is. So it has that personal connection. Well, at least I'd like to think that it has that personal connection, and some of the people who have seen it and who have contributed and who have enjoyed it really feel that they were a part of that, about our journey.
You always hear, and certainly I've been part of these debates in the past, where people talk about the difference between getting a grant of any kind and fundraising of any kind. I mean, you've done an amazing task here of collecting all these funds, but anybody who's trying to put together an art piece struggles with how to get that money together. Did you get any? Was there any response from people saying, "Whoa, this is creating a model of too much gathering money on your own versus getting funds from an agency, from sponsors"?
No, I don't think so. I think we were too small for that. I think one of the things that we tried to do was create that kind of take down the wall between investor and filmmaker, and we video blogged and kind of documented the entire journey over the past 2-3 years. We made these little YouTube videos so that people could see it and journey with us and see that we're counting the money and putting it into the bank. And people, you try to make them laugh with these little 3-minute YouTube videos, so it's almost like they can see you struggling and trying to get to the end point, and they're there kind of pushing you along. And I guess maybe that allows you to kind of fly in under the radar, and have people's best wishes rather than that's not the way it's supposed to be done.
What happens next for Pocket Change Films? Would you do this again, this fundraising method?
I've been asked that question a number of times, and the really boring but truthful answer is it really depends. Ramona, the co-writer, and myself, we've just finished writing a new project together, or at least the first draft of a new screenplay. The producer, Bryce Mitchell, and one of the executive producers, Raj Panikkar, we have another production company called Shoes Full of Feet, and we have a number of projects ready to go. And so the boring answer is it really depends on who wants to come on board. I mean, I would really love, some rich doctor or dentist who wants to get into the movie industry, just like any artist, to come in and say, okay, you know what, you guys, this was a pretty good movie. You did it for what, $40,000? What can you do for $200,000?
Right.
That type of thing. But the fact is people who want to make art, or entertainment for that matter, people who really want to do that, they'll find a way to do it. And if that means that my next project has to be a Pocket Change movie, then that decision will be made accordingly. But what I really want to do from an artist point of view is pay people on the next project, right? And pay myself for that matter. I mean, countless people put their time and effort into this movie, and it shows. It's
But the Pocket Change didn't quite cover it, though.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain unions with actors. We have to pay them the minimal, but they came on, and they came on relatively for free. Gordon Pinsent, Kristen Booth. They really saw what we were doing and wanted to get behind the passion of the project and wanted to be a part of that. And the crew was all volunteer. So, I mean, the next movie, it could be a Pocket Change movie, but it would be that much longer to collect nickels and dimes in order to pay these people what they deserve to to put their time and effort into crafting another film.
Well, Chris, congratulations on getting it done.
Thank you so much.
And thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Chris Booth, the director and co-screenwriter of At Home by Myself, ... with You, otherwise known as the Pocket Change film. It screens on Sunday at the Mayfair Theatre at 7 p.m. That's Sunday. And Chris is going to be doing a Q&A session after the screening. If you can't make it out to the screening on Sunday, you can find out how to watch the movie by going to the website, which is pocketchangefilm.com.